invisible holder of the body that's looking at the body that they happen to be holding, labeled whatever the label is that it was given, and believing that, okay, this is my body. But that's the whole idea, is, you know, I'm not body. This body that's aging, and, you know, at 5 years old, the formless presence, using this body form to peer into a mirror, looked and saw the reflection of itself, which was the body, and now at 92 sees the reflection of itself at 92, but had nothing to do with the birth or the death or the aging or any of these things. This formless presence that you are does not age. It's timeless, formless, outside of time, because the concept of time is a body-based concept. And in reality, all of the bodies that are happening, it's just a body factory. And like anything else, you know, we talked about fruit sitting on the table. The fruit will go bad and get mushy and be discarded. But the formless presence that caused the fruit to have life or have vitality, that allowed it to grow from a seed or a little bud in the tree, that energy that you are, it was not affected by the fruit aging and decaying. Nor are you affected by this body aging and decaying, because you're not a body. And then you could say, because which body? I'm holding the body of a newborn child, and I'm holding the body of somebody who's in a nursing home right now. All of it is my own selfless self. So what age am I?
And we always want to localize it.
Yes. Well, the local identification is the whole problem, because the local identification is, I am somebody and I'm having these experiences. Both of those concepts are illusion. You're formless.
Yes. That's good to hear, isn't it, Ravi?
Yes, yes. Not a good to hear. It's immediate experience. No, like body is not having the capacity to understand whatever is happening.
No, body is just a lump of goo of the 5 elements. It has no sentience of itself, because when the presence leaves, the body's a dead body. No matter how much you love mom, when the presence leaves the body, you're not going to keep it around and take it on vacations and all of this kind of stuff. The mom, the presence that you labeled as mom while it was in the form of that body labeled mom, is no more in that presence animating that body. So that body is a dead body. When the presence leaves this body, and it's not really leaving, it's just, this body is no longer able to sustain the presence. Like Nisargadatta Maharaj and Ramakant Maharaj say, the food body. As long as I supply food and water to this body, it stays moist, it stays growing, because this body is just, I was a little small child who ate, and the food that I ate became this body, and this body continued to grow based on the food that I ate and the water that I drank. The natural growth, just like a flower, when I plant a seed, the flower grows, or I plant a tree and the tree grows. The same thing with this body. I provide it with food and water and maybe a little exercise here and there, and it grows. But the formlessness, the presence that's holding the body, isn't growing and isn't experiencing. And yet, when this body is no longer able to sustain the presence, then presence will just no longer be believing itself to be this body. It'll just be as you are, always, everything, and just all. Like, you can't, yeah. All of this is occurring within the consciousness, and the consciousness is being fed on the food body that you're keeping moist. As soon as this moistness is no longer there, the consciousness will no longer be projecting this dream world with a you in it. But the background that projects the entire dream that you are will still be there, whether this body is here or not. And you'll know this by when you contact this formless presence. You are the knower of the sense of presence, and the entire world appears on spontaneous presence. This body is what you use as like a character in a video game. I'm playing John, basically.
Yes, sir. Like whatever you are saying it's very evident. In the very moment, like the subjectiveness or beingness on which Rami believed, that Rami is separate entity. That belief is happening, but when that belief is taken out, it's evident that on the beingness, everything is projected, even the space, everything, whatever is coming. That's evident, but still it is a reality. That like knowing that on the amness or beingness, only all this is coming. It's still reality now.
Duality? Well,
Yeah.
no, because this I am is not. It's not true. This sense of existence appeared, and spontaneously all of this is happening due to this sense I exist. But that knew its existence was there prior to existence, but just not in any kind of fathomable or imaginable. That's why Sri Ramakant Maharaj uses the knock, knock on the door. Who's there? Nobody's there. But the person who said nobody's there, of course, was there to say nobody's there. So this beingness has appeared to that did not know beingness or no beingness, but it was there to receive either.
it's a paradox. Then where to go? Well, there is like body may move from like one point to another geometric point, or they may identify itself being at one particular place at point T1 and being at another place at T2. It's like if there is a belief that okay, body is existing, this is all valid, but when it is clearly seen that and beingness, when the beingness operating, then only all this is being known, then it's irrelevant whether the body is going here or there, or whether that a stone is there at a particular place, or buildings are behind the body. It's all like projection related. It doesn't matter as long as this awareness is there, that in the awareness all this projection is happening. But even this awareness is illusion. So whatever that witness you are talking, so this understanding cannot describe that. So this understanding is not at all, cannot contain that. Then how to go beyond this? How awareness.
Who is to go beyond? In order to go beyond, you have to have some kind of point. If you're formless, you have no point. So therefore, there'd be no measurement of going forward or going beyond or going inside or going outside. It's just formless. Nothing. Like nothing. So there's no point. There's no forward. There's no backwards. There's no right. There's no left. You can sort of experience this if you close your eyes and you're in that kind of feeling of presence and you just move around. You can see that, okay, it's infinite. There's no touching the right or the left or where this begins or where this ends. You see?
Okay, there is no going then. See, then all this practice is just vain then, this practice cannot understand, or this idea of trying to understand.
Yeah, the practice is you get in touch with, like Sri Ramakant Maharaj says, you invite the attention of the invisible listener, this presence, this sense you are. Nisargadatta Maharaj says, the only thing that you know, the only capital that you have is you are, or you exist. This I am sense is that sense of existence. So that is all you can, and you can only feel that with the body form. Without body, you exist, but you won't be able to sense this sense of existence because you need the concept of otherness in order to perceive this very subtle presence. Otherwise, you just are the presence and there's nothing to use to measure yourself. So using this body form, you can sense this sense of presence. And once you sense this sense of presence, then that blows away all of the world because you're just there and you know it's formless. And all of this is appearing on that. And when that formless presence leaves this body, or is no longer, this body is no longer able to sustain it, think about the air in the room. The air in the room is going in and out of these lungs. And when this body can no longer have the air in and out of these lungs, the air is still in the room. It didn't go anywhere. This body may be a lump of goo on the floor that's buried or burned, but the air that was going in and out of it is still there. You see, it didn't go anywhere. It couldn't go anywhere. And that's the presence. Just like in a dream, that consciousness that's in a dream is creating all the dream world and all the people. It's moving the people around, and there's conversations and all this sort of stuff. But it's an ether type thing that's doing all of this. You're laying down sleeping. Your body's definitely not doing anything. It's just this sense of existence mixed with I exist that projects the consciousness in the dream world. And then it appears that all this stuff's going on, but nothing's actually going on because it came out of nothing and it dissolves back into nothing. And this waking state dream world is the same. It's the same consciousness. It's just that there's identification with a specific form that creates this concept or the illusion of experience because I'm a body. But you're not a body, and you're not having experiences. Just like when you're dreaming, you're not a body, and you're not having experiences, although it will appear that you are. And now that you know this, don't take the touch of any of these things that are passing, because you know it's illusion. I just remain with my selfless self. I enjoy. Nothing to worry about. How can I worry? What? How? Yeah. No, how? Because in order to worry, I have to take the illusion as reality. I just would rather remain with reality and observe the illusion.
Taking illusion reality means identifying itself with it, or like, so whatever
see,
is appearing is real when we see it as a center, or as so and so.
Yes. Because when you're an object, you see other objects. When you're formless, you know that these objects are all appearing within you. So you're not actually claiming ownership of any of the objects or the actions that are being done by them, just like in a dream. And that's how you know. Inviting the attention of the invisible listener, that sense of presence, you remain with the sense of presence, because then you know that the entire world is projected on that. If you want to at all compare yourself with sky or space, like Maharaj says, this sense of presence, just even if you identify, it's not exactly correct, but if you identify this sense of presence, oh, so that I, then that presence is not being affected by any of the things in this form world. It can't be. You know this. There's no form to the presence. Even if you believe that the presence is inside this body only, it's still formless presence. There's no form to this presence. And you worship this presence as God, as Guru. Sadguru is actually, Jai Sadguru. It is the formless presence. That presence, you bow down. You're bowing down to your selfless self. But if you haven't yet understood the selfless self, okay, the presence is God. Worship God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. This sense of presence is pleased the more you stay with it, and the less you go with all the outside things. Everything in the outside world passes. The presence is eternal. So remain with that eternal sense of presence. Eventually, as you continue to remain with this sense of presence, there's gonna be a turn where it's like, oh, so this presence is all there is. Who knows this? Who sees only this presence? Who is this? Who am I? Okay, I'm the knower of this sense of presence. Now, if I'm the knower of the sense of presence, then I'm the presence that knows myself in a real sense through the body form, but I'm not the body. The presence is formless. The entire world is illusion. I never was a body. All these body-based experiences, body-based relation, body-based knowledge is completely untrue because I'm not a body.
You're clearly pointing perhaps in the initial stage, effort might help to be in beingness. Thereupon, nothing, no effort, nothing.
Yes.
Just in beingness. It happens whenever it happens.
Yeah, I mean, you use this body form and you can just kind of fall back into beingness or fall out of the body into the beingness, into the presence. As long as, and I'm sure every single body form that we're speaking to and about, the presence has you've invited the attention of the invisible listener. The sense of presence has been felt. So now, even if it's as small as a dime, just remain. Oh yeah, remain with the sense of presence. All this stuff is coming and going. I remain here. And of course, I remain here is just in verbal conversation because there really is no I to remain anywhere. You are. Nothing else is. So there's no I in the, because you are. There is nothing. There's nothing other than you are. There's nothing. There's all of this is just the appearance based on the false belief of being a body, and then the world appears because you're a body in this world. But in reality, this is not true. But for now, you can use this body to sense the sense of presence, identify the sense of presence as the Satguru, worship the Satguru. In bhajan, invite the attention of the invisible listener. Throughout your day, invite the attention of the invisible listener. As you get into any kind of conversations with others, you know, oh, the same presence that's in this body is also holding that body because it's formless. If it's somebody who, quote, is bothersome, I say, okay, this same presence, if it was removed from that body would be a dead body. And if I remove the presence from this body's a dead body. So it's that same presence that's in both. It's just through the conceptualization and viewing myself as an individual and separate, and somehow that my thoughts are all my thoughts and everything's about me and my desire to acquire, because now I'm an object, so I desire to acquire other objects. If I remain formless, there's no others, there's no objects, there's no nothing. And you remain happy, 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 happy.
Feliz de siempre.
Indeed. Oh, hello, Andrew. You are here?
I am. I don't know why my face isn't up there, but I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Andrew.
Well, at least your mother is
She knows what she's talking about, right?
Indeed. Well, that was somebody asked something on Cura. What would be the best way to worship one who has passed? Truly, to remain with the sense of presence, because that same presence was once in your loved one.
Exactly. You're with them all the time.
Yeah. So now you just remain with the sense of presence, knowing that presence was in your loved one. At one time, it held the body form of someone that this body form loved. And I can remain with that sense of presence and be with that same presence that was in that person.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
and that presence doesn't go away. So in a way, the person is still here.
Well, the person is an illusion. The presence was animating the body and believing itself to be that person. There never actually was a person. So the presence is no longer animating that body form, but the presence still is. Because I'm holding this body form and I can sense the sense of presence, and with the knowingness that the presence is in all forms, I can remain with the sense of presence and know subtly that same presence was in that one that I used to call mom.
And that's the way to be with them, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the way to be with all of them, everyone that's living as well as deceased, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything else is selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm viewing them as how they were to me. Well, no, this is not how they were to me. I'm sensing the sense of presence that at one time animated that body called mom. Therefore, I'm as close to mom as I possibly could ever be, because there's no separation.
Mm-hmm.
The more that I'm with that sense of presence, the more I realize that, it's
Yes.
just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the meditation and all of this is to clear away the illusory layers that are blocking you from sensing that sense of presence or experience self as self directly. And the more the illusion is peeled away, the more, and that's why Sri Ramakant Maharaj says he's a mirror. He's completely clean and clear, and that presence is reflecting. And that's it. Now that you know the sense of presence, you just dive in and you just remain there and worship the sense of presence. Sense of presence will appear to expand, but in reality, the body sense is dissolving.
Andrew, deep condolences for your loss.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, actually, I tell you, like, one incident happened with Ramakant Maharaj. So when the Maharaj was on deathbed, so he was admitted in one hospital in Mumbai. So, like, he was there for like quite some time, maybe few days. So maybe around a week. So on last day, so I traveled from Bangalore to Mumbai, and when the fellow disciples told that Maharaj was on deathbed, but Maharaj was not. He was not suffered. Maybe body was was undergoing that decay process, but he was completely. You can see in his presence there is no suffering. Might be pain would be there. So before that also used to attend the satsang in Mumbai, Nashik. So like before few months of that, there was immense what you call disease like maybe because of problem with the lungs. He used to cough and all, but he was never identified with that pain. So and even on last days, doctors were saying, like I heard, like people were saying, doctors were so surprised. How come, like having undergoing the death and not, touched by it? Like he was not, he was not at all touched by, the suffering, the pain caused by the death. But last one day, maybe he was unconscious or, might not be aware of what is exactly happening there on the place. But, absolutely there is no suffering of that, decay caused by the death.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like that's the moment, like a kind of revelation, the beauty, like when the truth is established, or it might not be exactly the correct way saying it, established in truth, because it's like it's saying it's not correct saying like truth is coming, going, or establishing in truth. So, but for the sake of conversation, I'm telling, like when established oneself in truth, I think this age, whatever is happening, losing, actually that's for the entities, who identify like, as individual, then only you see some change are going or happening, but there actually there is no going or happening. That was evident in Maharaj. I don't know why I wanted to tell.
That's very good.
Yeah, I had the same. I had an experience with. I've shared this before, but with Ranjit Maharaj, his final day, we were all in. We sang bhajans, and he was really just. He seemed to be completely unconscious, just sitting in his chair. They had to kind of like hold him there because he kept falling out on the floor. So I happened to be shoved way in the back of his little tiny room in Mumbai. Yeah. And so I couldn't get out. Everyone else left. So I was the last one out. And as everyone were leaving the room, they would bow before him, and then they would step out. And he was unconscious that whole time. So I finally made my way to him. I bowed, and as I was walking out, he was unconscious he seemed to be unconscious when I bowed. He wasn't. His head was just hanging down. And when I
Yes.
got to the door, I turned and looked at him, and he was looking at me with this incredible smile. Just really very beautiful. It was like, it was just really like just a beautiful darshan, you might say. Just a very, like a peaceful, happy, very glowing look on his face as I left his room. And then a few hours later, we found out that one of his disciples, who was kind of like his caretaker in a lot of ways, very strong guy that would get him around town and so forth. In Mumbai, it's really tough. Nandu is his name. He took him to the hospital where he passed away in a cab. So, but yeah, it was really like just an incredible. You might say just all of a sudden he was there, completely present and just totally untouched by everything that was going on. In terms of his death and so forth. Just really free, very very free. It was really beautiful, and so. And my mother, when she passed away, I stayed by her bedside a lot. I was so happy to have the chance to be with her for that time. She was very, very peaceful, actually. They said that she was a very, very good patient, the hospice people. Just really, really very, very peaceful when she was leaving the body. And so I was just very blessed, I think, just to be there and just see the transition. Slowly, there's just a gradual departing of the spirit, of that presence from the body. And then all of a sudden, there's just a body there. And once that happened, it was like, it was really, the hard part was, before. After she had passed, there was a real, strong sense of sadness, but it wasn't like going to having the funeral and so forth. It was really a blessing. It was really a blessing, and I got a chance to share a few things when they, say a few things about everyone else who was there, how the spirit worked through to keep her going for 96 years. There were a lot of people there, like, the family. I have a large family, and also there were people there. I just mentioned the fact that it's that one spirit working through everyone, that kept her, in that condition, helped her to live so long and, a good life. So I had a chance to thank everyone, basically. And just to remind them that we're not the body and we're not the mind. We're that spirit that animates all of us, and that's one spirit, so we're all one in this. So it was really a very real nice experience, actually, the funeral. And so here we are back in Sedona. I don't know why my face isn't showing, but anyway, yeah. I don't know,
one beautiful thing, happens in the people, who witnesses the death is dispassion. In India, they call vairagya. So it happens in three forms. One is like, when a woman is giving birth to the child, at that time she undergoes the vairagya, that dispassion. That's called prasuti vairagya. Prasuti means it's like giving birth, the process of giving birth. And the same thing happens when your beloved, it could be mother, or it could be, your partner, or, your, immediate relationship or very close friend. When that person passes away, same dispassion happens. That's in that very moment, that that transient nature of the things, suddenly clicks, and you suddenly start seeing. Generally, we just go here and there, and we feel like it is eternal, or it is going to be there all the time. But in that death moment, this dispassion happens, and you see the illusionary nature of the things. Like you feel like everything is going here. Like the person, whoever he is there, maybe 20 years, 30 years, or 50 years, he will go. And even the things which are existing in the farm, maybe humans will, this farm will dissolve so quickly, but other farms, they also dissolve, but it takes longer time than us. That means everything is going, everything. Then there is no, like, we believe that something is eternal, but whatever we see ourselves as, that is not permanent. This dispassion happens. This is the two things. And the third thing is, it's, evident in John. That happens, I think, when the truth is established. I don't know. That's like, permanent vairagya. So that's, I know, I think it does not come with the effort. So it's a natural outcome.
Yeah.
But no, these are the beautiful pointers, I think. And one thing you mentioned, Ranjit Maharaj, it was same with Ramakant Maharaj. He was also like, like his head was down like this.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it was just shaking a bit. And it was same actually. He was unconsciousness. He was, there was no suffering in the face. Like you can say it's absolute happiness reflected in the face. It's very nice.
Very nice, yeah.
Witness that.
So you weren't in the room though when she passed, right?
I stepped out for a little while and I came back. Then that's when she had passed. But I was there just that whole morning, actually. And, I saw a video called Yanni about Ramana Maharshi, and his last day, he was just, people were filing past, looking at him, and he was just looking at them, and he was kind of like totally free as well, totally free, like just that darshan, the way he looked. It was just like, this is a man that was, who really knew who he truly was. He wasn't there anymore, basically, but his body was just happening through him. So, it was just, it was very beautiful to see that. And just, so basically it's been a real, for me, it was a real beautiful blessing to be, on mother's side when she finally left. I wasn't there at the very moment she left, but just about. She was really, by the time she left, she was really basically, I don't know if she knew where she was any longer. Because, hospice, when they really get close to the end, they give you morphine you can give them, and it kind of like deadens the pain, and it can also make them a little bit kind of sluggish or whatever. So she did have pain, so we gave her that, for a couple of days, basically. Circulation was the painful thing on her legs and so forth. So, but yeah, all in all, it was just really, like her death was really a beautiful one. Because the hospice people told us that oftentimes they will have patients who fight it, really fight the whole process, refuse or to go to let it happen. But my mother actually was really very peaceful with it. And she was just really kind of like there the whole time until the very, very end, when kind of like she started losing that sense of her own presence, maybe. But thank all of you for your condolences. I really appreciate that.
And like Maharaj states, the thought, I am dying, should not come through the mind.
Yeah.
Because that thought will birth a lot of other thoughts of I am dying. But I'm not, I wasn't born. So what was not born can't die.
Exactly, yeah.
The body is no more. And I remember too, when I was driving up to Frederick, I've told this story before, when Maharaj had left the body, and I thought to myself, okay, Master, you're back to everything again. And then there was a slight correction. Something just felt, and I said, no. You were always everything. Time. It appeared that you were limited.
Yeah.
And I was able to perceive you as limited, but in reality, you were never limited, never. It was only the perception of limitation in being in a body form, even though knowing that the sense of presence was there, there's still this conceptualizing of something is leaving the body. No, this everything, that's all of everything that for a time appeared as a limited something, is no more appearing as that limited something, but it still very much is. And that's the sense of presence.
Right, yeah.
And that's why they say that complete trust and faith in the Master. The Master is everything. He knows he's everything. He's using this body form. He's formlessness in form, and speaking to this other body form that he knows absolutely is his own self, because there is only one presence, saying, hey, You are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body. And when you get rid of this body and that body, then there's no separation. So who's dying? Who's being born? It's only the concept that these walls are separating these various rooms that have the label of these various body forms. It's not true. The same presence is animating all of this. And the thing is, again, it's the dream consciousness and the waking state consciousness. So all of the objects that are appearing are conglomerations of the 5 elements building and doing whatever they're doing, animated by the presence that you are. And whether the objects are there or are not, it doesn't matter, because the objectless formlessness is able to animate anything, anytime, anywhere. So the dog that's being born right now, presence is taking the form of this dog. But the dog is just a conglomeration of the 5 elements. Dogs create dogs. So 2 dogs get together and create a dog. Formless presence animates and brings life to this dog. So mom and dad get together and have some fun, and this body is created out of a conglomeration of the 5 elements, and the sense of presence is suddenly attached to this body form, knows I exist, and sees this world. But that same presence is constantly, all these forms are being created and destroyed, and the presence just keeps giving it the appearance of life. But life is itself not actually taking the form of anything, it's providing the power. Like Maharaj talks about the electricity. The electricity is providing for the microwave, for the refrigerator, and for this lamp. It's the same electricity. If I turn the light off, no electricity comes to the lamp. It's still running in the other objects. And I haven't really made it do anything. It's just there. It doesn't know if it's providing the power to this or a chainsaw. It has no concept. It's just providing the power. Whatever objects happen to be in the awareness are being powered by this.
So is the knowing of the presence, is that going on in the presence, or is it going on in the mind, through, or like from the presence through the mind?
Presence is prior to mind.
The knowing that's going on is going on through the mind. I mean, you could say in the mind or through the mind.
There's no concept of any kind of, there's like empty knowing, I guess is what you would call it. The capacity to know in the moment when something is needed to be known.
Is that where the
nothing that's maintaining a knowingness. There's knowingness that's, it's like the capacity to know is there, but there's no knowingness unless something appears in the perception, I guess. Other than that, there's no knowing of anything. It's like I don't know how you would, like a wave, I guess. You know, you have the ocean, then you have the wave, then the wave goes back to the ocean, and there's a background of complete nothing. Like there's nothing. There's no pressure of mind to put you inside this body form. You're just here, and scenes appear and disappear. But you know that all that's occurring inside this presence, and you can look at your hands and your body and say, okay, this is formless presences. I'm holding this body. And yet, I don't have any opinions about that. I don't have any thoughts about that. I don't have any... It's like emptiness that becomes fullness and goes back to emptiness. It's constant. Like there's nothing. And then some duty, like we're speaking, there's some speaking going on, but there's not a faculty of concentrating on being a speaker. There's just a flow of speaking. And the question is asked, but there's no concept of another. It's just a flow. And there's no separation because there's nothing here. I know that sounds really bad. Hey, there's nothing here. Like,
no, that's what, the only thing, makes all this thing valid is non-existence of everything.
Yeah. But it's like potential.
Even the beingness.
It's the potential for something. There's no sense of being. Now, like I said, you can sit there and right now, using the body form, the sense of presence, and that's felt very, very strongly, the more that's focused on. But in reality, that's presence focusing on presence, using the instrument of body as kind of a conduit, like a plug. You know, the electricity's in the wall, but I have to put a plug into it for the electricity to flow through. So I'm using this body form to sort of, like we said, dip the cup in the nectar of immortality, to be selfless self-intoxication. But that selfless self-intoxication is not like a, there's no, I don't know. You're in a state of absence of everything until something needs to be done. And then there's action and activity and the doing is occurring in the moment. But it's passing and pausing very quickly. Potentiality, I guess. Like if it was just a ball of potentiality, but something didn't even know that there was potential there until it was, oh, thirst. Pick up this bottle, drink, put it down. Okay, now remain. There's a potentiality for more things to be expressed, but there's no one to express them. It's just I don't know, like mini explosions of potentiality without storing it. That's your reality when you're not perceiving or believing yourself to be separate, limited, or individual.
Would you say at some point the world dissolves? Like sometimes I'll have a sense of bliss, and it's like I don't know what it is, but I imagine that it could get more prominent and like take over the whole field of presence or something.
Well, the bliss. Number one, bliss is good. You can use presence to sense this bliss that's appearing on presence and just remain there. And by remaining with that, by remaining with the sense of presence and not going out into the world, see, the world doesn't, just like in Dream, this table is real. No matter how much you are knowing that you are not this body form, you can use this body form and knock on this table. So world, if you perceive it as objects, then there's object-to-object perception of world. But the perceiver, when it's subject only, and there are no other objects, then it's not objectifying, so it's just subject is only subject. There's no subject-object. There's no object here to be object-to-object. It's all subjective reality because everything is...
That's all there is.
It's just, yeah. So bliss and the sense of presence, this sense of presence, as long as I'm believing that I'm a seeker, I can use this instrument of seeking to seek until the seeker disappears within the seeking, because the sense of presence that I am views this seeker as a layer on presence that's not needed and remains with presence, and the seeker dissolves. But I can use the instrument of seeker to seek my own self until my own self, inviting the attention of the invisible listener, the sense of presence erases the seeker or the experience of seeking.
Would you say at that point the world dissolves?
Again, when you say world,
Separation.
Like, do you stop perceiving things as you normally perceive them?
I see this bottled water and I drink it and I can use it, and everything that's available is available. But there's no timeline because there's no me in time. In order to have a timeline, I have to have an object in space in which to measure other objects and then perception of time. It's not like that. There are scenes, various scenes that are appearing and disappearing. And there's no perception of them being in a timeline. Things are just occurring and moving in the experience. But because there's no flow of thoughts or impression of being a limited body or of being something separate, you don't have this. There's no like world for when you say world, if you're saying world as like this is a table, this is a body and this is a table, I understand that I'm formless, so neither of these is myself, and yet they're here and available, and in my experience in the moment, even though I'm formless, I'm able to have the illusion of experience by using a body form within this form-based reality or form-based existence. But it's the same as a dream. Inside the dream, I can knock on a table and it appears to be real. But the knower that knows this is absolutely formless, and yet there is an appearance of something appearing and disappearing before the formlessness that you are, because you happen to be holding a body. And holding the body is not the problem. Holding the body is the experience of being able to know you're formless and yet have the illusion of experience, have the illusion of living a life, have the illusion of being able to have a family and a son and a job. These all things could not be done if I didn't have the illusion of being a body and having experiences. But there's no local identification that this is me. This is myself, and myself just happens to be, for a time, holding this body form so that I can kind of look inside the dream like a telescope and see what's going on inside this in reality, this consciousness that is completely formless and yet is creating this form-based experience with the form that I can use to experience this form-based, even though I'm completely formless, and none of it is true.
Everything is myself, as they do say in the bhajans.
Yes, yes. It can't not be, because I'm formless presence. So formless presence is, all this is appearing on that formless presence. What else would it be if not my own self? Because where would it come from? There's nothing other. So how could anything be separate? The illusion of separation brought about by belief in being a body is only a concept. And when the concept is gone, because I'm formless presence is all there is. And I'm the knower of this sense of presence only when holding a body. When this body goes, presence is there, but I won't know this presence because I'll have no instrument of knowing. And yet, like we said, the potentiality for knowing is there. There's just nothing to know.
How about as for doing the mantra?
Yes.
Is it, does it make any difference if you, well, a lot of times I'm just doing it with the words, and it's sort of like helping to block out thoughts. But other times I can sort of be doing it with a sense that I am the mantra, or I am like this sort of a presence behind the mantra or with the mantra or something. And does it make any difference if you're doing it kind of like just to block out thoughts mechanically, kind of, or is it better? Does it really make any difference?
Either way, I mean, inviting the attention of the invisible listener is done through mantra, and it's done by erasing the illusions, the layers of illusion that are on your presence that you seem to be more concerned about and believe in than your own selfless self. So this layer of illusion is erased slowly, silently, and permanently with mantra. Also, what you were speaking about, the sense of presence is listening to the mantra being run through the body that you're holding. You see, the mantra is continuously going, and this sense of presence then is listening to this mantra, using the body that it's just naturally there. So then this presence can notice, and then the mantra becomes an object that's able to be experienced, so to speak, and it's erasing all then the layers that are appearing on that experience. And now there's the knower of mantra, or the one that's listening to the mantra as it's naturally running.
It's like the I am is with the mantra. That's what I meant.
It's removing all the illusory layers that appear to be separating you from this I am, or this sense of presence. It's not going to eliminate your body. Like, I have no qualms about I'm using this body, but I'm formless in this body. There's no birth, no death. Formless presence touched with this body, labeled John. And John, this body is going to go through its experiences, and as we said, is going to age and will eventually expire. But the presence that is using the body is timeless, formless, ageless, deathless, outside of time. So it doesn't really matter. Just like the body that you're using in your dream, when you wake up from the dream, that body is gone. You're no longer using that body. So, but you're still, the dreamer is still here. The dreamer, like Maharaj always says, is taking the video shooting of the dream, because you can wake up and tell yourself, oh my God, I had a very bad dream, very, very scary. I dreamt I was being chased down a hallway by some guy with a knife. Well, you had a body being chased, and now you wake up and you're no longer holding that body, nor is there any chasing, nor was there ever any chasing, except at the time, the illusion of experience brought about by the identification with a body form, which you were not, created this sense of, oh, uh-oh, I'm being chased. When you wake up, you know it's not true. When you know that yourself is this formless sense of presence, and you invite the attention of the invisible listener, then all of this so-called world, you see, oh, it's not true. Because I'm holding this body, it creates the illusion of experience, but there's no experience, no experiencer, no witness, no witnesser. Nothing, nothing, nothing. This entire world, this something, came out of nothing and will dissolve back into nothing, just as a dream. When you lay down, there's consciousness, we call it deep sleep or whatever, then suddenly consciousness stirs with I exist, boom, dream world appears. Then it recedes because consciousness and I exist, they recede, you no longer have the sense of existence in the deep sleep and the dream, and it's gone. And then you wake up, and now you're in the waking state dream, but you consider it real because, I don't know why you consider it real, because of identification with the body form. And this continuity of a timeline, because you believe that you're this body form, that you were born, that you're aging, and that you will eventually die. And you have to save for retirement and all this stuff. While in the dream, save for retirement. Go to your job. You cannot tell your employer that you're formless and that the world is a dream. I mean, you can, but then you'll be in the imaginary unemployment line.
With all the other formless folks.
Yeah. So. Well, it looks like it's almost time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason.
Thank
See you
you.
next week. Okay, thank you.
Night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Night.